Welcome back. Now for your 5-day weather forecast, we go outside to Rachel Landry.
Gray skies and rain is what this week brings us. Now here is your 5-day weather forecast. Today, winds will be gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour, and we'll see periods of rain beginning in the afternoon. We'll drop to a low of 4 after hitting a daytime high of 13. Don't get too used to double digits for tomorrow, as the high will only reach 8. There will be a mix of sun and clouds, and the low will remain at 4. To get the weekend started, the clouds will stay with a high of 7 and a low of 2. On Saturday, the wet weather will be back with a 40% chance of showers, a low of 3 and a high of 8. And as the weekend comes to a close, the consistent mix of sun and cloud will be present. We'll reach 8 for a high and 4 for the low. And that's all for your 5-day weather forecast. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Rachel. Turning now to international and national news. Yesterday was a dark day for Senators Patrick Brazeau, Pamela Wallin, and Mike Duffy. After 2 weeks of debate, the 3 senators have been suspended without pay for up to 2 years. However, they will still keep their title and benefits. Brazeau was suspended by a vote of 50 to 29 with 13 abstentions. Duffy was suspended 52 to 28 with 11 abstentions, and Wallin was suspended by a vote of 52 to 27 with 12 abstentions. Across the country, Canadians are not showing any sympathy for the senators, and some say the Senate did the right thing.
1 person has been killed and 8 have been injured in a deadly bombing in northern China. Local police say a series of devices exploded outside the provincial headquarters of China's ruling Communist Party. Authorities are deeming the incident a terrorist attack. While protests happen regularly, local police say that incidents of targeted violence are extremely rare. The blast occurred just 1 week after the terrorist attack in Beijing's Tiananmen Square. This incident comes ahead of a highly anticipated meeting of top party leaders in Beijing this weekend.
At least 8 people were killed and dozens injured in an explosion in central Damascus earlier today. The state news agency Sana says the bomb detonated at the entrance to a building near the central Hijaz Square. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Rebels fighting to topple President Bashar Assad have frequently targeted Damascus, the seat of his power, with bombs.
Democrats came out on top in last night's off-year elections. The off-year votes are held at the municipal and state level. The votes give an indication of leanings in future congressional and presidential elections. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, who was re-elected in one of the key races, is a possible Republican candidate for the presidential election in 2016. And in New York, Liberal Democrat Bill de Blasio was elected as mayor. Although New York is a Democratic state, it has not had a Democratic mayor in over 20 years.
BC Premier Christy Clark and Alberta Premier Alison Redford have agreed to work with each other to support oil pipelines. Alberta has accepted BC's 5 conditions, and BC returned the favor by signing the Alberta Energy Strategy. BC also has agreed not to take any royalties that Alberta would earn from oil pipelines. The current agreement is not directed to any particular pipeline or energy resource projects. According to BC's conditions, the project must pass environmental review, must address First Nations participation, and must include a share of economic benefits for the people of BC.
And now with your sports news, here's Jonathan Rumley.
Let's start off the sports update with some Hawk talk. The Humber men's and women's basketball teams will be facing off against Fanshawe tonight. Both teams are looking to improve on their winning records. You can catch all of the action at the North Campus. In NBA action, the Toronto Raptors couldn't beat the Heat as they lost 104-95 to the reigning champs. The Heat were led by LeBron James, who scored 35 points in Miami's 12th straight win against Toronto. A bright spot for the Raptors was the performance of Jonas Valanciunas, who provided 18 points, including 2 on this crowning of King James. Now that's going to make a great poster. In NFL news, Dolphins offensive guard Richie Incognito says he's trying to weather the storm after harassment accusations of former teammate Jonathan Martin. Incognito fired back at the media on Twitter this week after racial slurs and physical threats were revealed. New texts and voicemails that show harassment are continuing to pour out. Reports claim that coaches asked the former Pro Bowler to toughen up his teammate. The 30-year-old has been suspended indefinitely by the team. The Green Bay Packers will be without their best player, Aaron Rodgers, for the foreseeable future. The former MVP broke his collarbone in Monday's loss to the Bears. Rogers could be out until December, but he'll likely be back in time for the playoffs. In one final injury note, Nashville Predators goalie Pekka Rinne will be out longer than expected. The two-time Vezina nominee is dealing with an E. coli infection in his hip. Rinne had hip surgery in May and fully recovered until he experienced soreness and a fever in late October. The rare infection will keep him out until December. And finally, the World Series of Poker came to an end last night in Las Vegas. 23-year-old Ryan Reese of East Lansing, Michigan emerged victorious in No Limit Texas Hold'em. He walked away with a championship bracelet and a cool $8.4 million. Reese the Beast was the youngest of 9 players at the final table. He beat out a field of over 6,000 participants in total. Marc-Etienne McLaughlin of Quebec finished 6th, earning $1.6 million. Not bad. That's all for sports. I'm Jonathan Rumley. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, John. After the break, we'll get the latest in entertainment from Natalie Hanneman.
Late-night TV hosts crack up at Rob Ford's expense, and Scarlett Johansson heats up the screen with Matthew McConaughey. All that and more coming up on Entertainment.